the last herb on my hit parade is, I think, the unsung hero of the herb garden, parsley. I love it. So I'm making pasta with pecorino and pepper and parsley. Say that fast. I'm going to start with 2 tablespoons of chopped parsley. Because parsley's a major ingredient in this recipe, I'm using flat leaf parsley. It really has more flavor, sort of that crisp, bitter flavor that you're looking for. I actually want to see the parsley in the dish, so you don't want it too finely chopped. Okay, now the pasta. So it's 8 ounces of tagliarelli. I figure about 4 ounces per person. It takes just 3 minutes to cook. I need 2 teaspoons of pepper. Actually, I want them really, really coarse. I want sort of fine bits and coarse bits, so you really bite into the peppercorns. And I'm putting it in a mortar and pestle, which allows you to sort of grind them by hand. I know it sounds crazy, but it's really good. So you want sort of big pieces and little pieces all ground up, just like that. Fantastic. Ooh, it already smells peppery. Next, 2 cups of tomatoes, cherry tomatoes. I'm using these little grape tomatoes. They're really sweet. Whatever's good in the market. The next major ingredient is pecorino. This has a very sharp, sort of Parmesan-like flavor. I need about a cup total of grated pecorino. Okay, I think the pasta's ready. First thing I'm going to do is take a cup and just take out some of the pasta water so that if the pasta is a little too thick, I can always add that back in. Perfect pasta. Okay, you don't want it completely dry. You want a little moisture in it. Okay, I'm going to bring it back right on the pot. I'm going to mix the sauce right in the pot. Okay, now, need 2 tablespoons of cream, 1 tablespoon of butter, just toss it all together. Okay, now all the ingredients go in. 2 cups of tomatoes makes it a fuller dish rather than just pasta. Then the parsley. How fast is this? And then the pecorino, which has that sort of bite of Parmesan, not nearly as expensive. About a half a cup. 2 teaspoons of pepper crushed. That's going to give it so much flavor. And season it with salt. And it's gotten a little dry, so I'm going to add some of the cooking water to it. Just toss it all together. Okay, that's done. Now I just have to take its beauty shot. Big bowl, lots of pasta. Wow, how beautiful. So, some tomatoes, some parsley. Fantastic. Big sprinkling of pecorino. A little bit of pepper. I think this would look good with a fork in it, like somebody's about to eat it. Take its picture, write everything up. Wow, looks even better in the photograph. Have to make sure it's really good. So my recipe's good and everybody can make good pasta. One of the perks of the job. Oh, so good. Roasted shrimp with orzo is a great dish for a crowd. Best part of it is, the longer it sits, the better it gets. So the first thing I'm gonna do is roast some shrimp. A little olive oil, salt and pepper. It's actually a surprising way to cook shrimp on a sheet pan in the oven. I just find it really gives it more flavor. That's 2 pounds of shrimp, it's about 32 shrimp. Okay, into the oven, high temperature, 400 degrees for exactly 6 minutes, and they're gonna be really delicious and succulent. And I think the orzo is just about ready. So I cooked 3/4 pound of orzo in boiling salted water with a splash of olive oil. Good and hot. Whoa. Okay, that's drained. This is gonna go right into the big bowl. So the lemon vinaigrette, the first thing I need is half a cup of freshly squeezed lemon juice. And a half a cup of olive oil. 2 teaspoons of salt. 1 teaspoon of pepper. I'm gonna whisk it all together. and just pour it right over the pasta. I'm gonna cut up some herbs and vegetables for the salad. So the first thing I need is a cup of chopped scallions. And then I'm just gonna run my knife right down the middle. Okay, just rough chop. The scallions and later red onions are gonna give this lots of sharp flavor. Right into the salad. Next thing is a cup of freshly chopped parsley. It's a big chop. I use flat leaf parsley, I think it has more flavor. But if you have curly parsley, it's just fine. Right into the bowl. About 1 cup of chopped fresh dill. So I'm gonna chop it roughly. You know, it's really important to use fresh herbs, especially when it's in a salad like this. But if you have some left over and you want to chop it up, just put it in little containers, freeze it, and then just defrost it when you need it. Okay, 1 cup of dill right into the salad. Next thing is cucumbers. So just right down the middle, and just do cubes right into the salad. I'm just gonna put half a cup of diced red onion into it. I just wanted to flavor the salad. Okay, the next thing is the shrimp. I think they're perfectly cooled. Okay, get all the flavor in. I'm just gonna toss it all together. And then the last thing, it's one of my favorite ingredients, good feta. And just put it in as gently as possible so it doesn't get all broken up. Toss it in. It's perfect for sitting on the dock. This is actually one of my favorite dishes. It's pasta with white truffle butter. I sliced all of these cremini mushrooms. I'm just gonna saute them in a little bit of butter, a little bit of oil, until they're really sort of golden brown. This is a great dish for the holidays because you make huge amounts of it. I'm just gonna let them cook slowly so they get really nice and tender and browned. Okay, that's the mushrooms. So that's gonna cook away. Next thing I wanna do is make the sauce. The sauce is really easy. It's heavy cream, about a cup of heavy cream. I'm just gonna heat it up. And I think I'm gonna do some salt and pepper in it too. I use kosher salt and fresh cracked pepper and 2 pots of this white truffle butter. I'm gonna turn off the heat and just melt the truffle butter in it. Just let it melt in. You're not gonna believe how fast this dish is. And it's great for the holidays. You make large batches of it. It's good with chicken, you know, as a side dish. It's great on its own with a salad, which is exactly what we're gonna be doing. Okay, that's just gonna melt right into that. I've got a large pot of boiling water, lots of salt, really important. I'm just gonna dump the pasta in. So this is fresh fettuccine. It's gonna cook in like 2 minutes. Fantastic. 1 more pasta. That's a lot of pasta. Okay, the mushrooms are cooking away. It's like a one-man song and dance band over here. I think the pasta's done. Just gonna drain it. Whoa, that's a big pot of pasta. So I'm gonna put the pasta right into the cream sauce, and then it really absorbs the flavors. Okay, fresh chives. I think they're really good on this pasta. Ooh, that smells great. So just toss it in with tongs. I can really smell the truffles and the butter and the cream. I mean, how good does this look? Wow. I'm gonna add the cooked mushrooms, all these cremini mushrooms with a little butter. And then the last thing is fresh Parmesan cheese. I mean, for a whole dinner, that was pretty fast, wasn't it? Lots of Parmesan cheese right on top. I'm just gonna toss it in with the tongs. Sprinkling of chives on the top, a little Parmesan cheese. And I would say dinner is served. I bet Jeffrey thinks I'm gonna make a twist on chicken. Well, you know what? I'm gonna rock his world. I'm gonna make pastitsio, which is like a Greek lasagna. So the first thing I've done is saute 1½ cups of onions in about 3 tablespoons of olive oil. What I'm gonna add is 1 pound of ground beef and 1 pound of ground lamb. It's the lamb that makes it so Greek. No chicken anywhere. You just put it right into the onions. And this is gonna cook for about 8 to 10 minutes until the meat is really browned and completely cooked through, and the onions will be nice and caramelized. What I was looking for is a dish that's like lasagna, where you make the whole thing in one dish, it goes into the oven, and you just serve it, the entire meal as one dish. And I started doing some research, and I realized the Greeks have something called Pastitsio, which is really a lasagna, but it's baked with tomatoes and spices like cinnamon and oregano in the bottom, ground meat, and pasta, and then has this big thick layer of bechamel and cheese on the top. It's absolutely delicious. So that's basically what this is. It's like a Greek lasagna. I use 2 kinds of meat, beef and lamb, and I just think that gives it great flavor. And what I'm doing here is just browning the meat for about 8 to 10 minutes, along with the onions, just until it's cooked. And then I'm going to add all kinds of delicious spices. Now I'm going to add half a cup of a dry red wine. I always add Côte de Rhône because it's what I like. I always pick something that I can drink and cook with. And the good news is when Jeffrey goes to the store to get me dry red wine, he knows I like Côte de Rhône. Just cook that down a little bit. Okay, that's the ground meat and the red wine. Now I'm going to add lots of delicious flavors. First thing is garlic, big rough chop. You can add as much as you like. Then I'm going to add cinnamon, which is a really classic Greek combination of lamb and cinnamon. It just gives it a nice piquant flavor. Usually cinnamon here is used for sweet things, but I love it in savory things. I'm going to put a whole tablespoon in. Okay, next is dried oregano. That's classic Greek too. I actually like dried oregano rather than fresh because oregano is so strong, it sort of overpowers it. Pinch of cayenne pepper. As big a pinch as you like, it's hot. And about a teaspoon of fresh thyme leaves. I love the flavor of thyme, so I use fresh thyme leaves. And just sort of approximate it. So this is ground meat, onions, garlic, and lots of seasonings. It's going to make a delicious base for the pastitsio. Give it a big stir. This is going to cook for about 5 minutes. In the meantime, I'm going to get some tomatoes to put in. Okay, so I'm going to use 1 whole can of crushed tomatoes in puree. It's really thick, and it's going to make a fabulous sauce. This is a good one to use for crushed tomatoes, and the thick puree actually makes a much thicker sauce. So you always want to find tomatoes in puree. Pour that whole thing in. Get all of it. 2 teaspoons of salt. One teaspoon of pepper. That's just going to simmer away for about 40 to 45 minutes until it's thick and spicy and delicious. Then I'm going to add some pasta. Oh, this ground meat looks just incredible. It's thick and it's rich and it just looks delicious. Okay, next I need some pasta. So get a big pot of boiling water, lots of salt so the pasta has good flavor. And what I'm using is something that's called, and I'm sure I'm pronouncing this wrong, conchiglietti, which is small shells. You can use any kind of small shells, but these are really good ones. 3/4 pound. So it's most of the box. Give it a big stir. And that's going to cook for about 8 minutes. But check the box that you're using and make sure you've got the right amount of time. You want to just undercook it because I'm going to put it into the sauce and then I'm going to bake it. And so it's going to cook a little longer. But it's going to really absorb all the flavors of the meat and the spices. Small shells are wonderful because they sort of distribute themselves through the sauce. It's going to be so good. I'm not usually crazy about surprises. Well, unless I'm in on the surprise. But Jeffrey and I decided we were going to surprise each other for dinner on Friday night. I'm not telling him what we're having, and I don't even know what he's up to. So I'm making pastitsio. I've already got the meat sauce done, and now I'm going to make the cheese sauce. So the first thing I need to do is heat up some milk and cream. I've got 1.5 cups of milk and 1 cup of cream. What I'm doing is I'm making a bechamel, which is a white sauce. And while that heats up, I'm going to make the roux. I've got 4 tablespoons of butter that I've melted in a pan. It's about 1/2 stick. I'm going to add 1/4 cup of flour. It's just all-purpose flour. And just dump it all in at once. Point of this is actually to just cook the flour a little bit so you don't have that raw flour taste in it. Just cook it for about 1 minute. So the butter and flour are perfectly cooked. They're not browned. Just for about a minute, I'm gonna switch to a whisk. Just to make sure I get a nice, smooth cream sauce. I'm gonna pour the milk and cream in, whisking it. No lumps here. And then later, I'm gonna add lots of cheese, Parmesan and yogurt. So Pastitsio is like a Greek lasagna, and it's got meat and shells and delicious tomato sauce on the bottom and a nice cheese sauce, bechamel on the top, and it's all baked together, so it's an entire meal in one dish. Okay, so this is nice and thick. And now I'm gonna add some flavors. 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, teaspoon of salt, teaspoon of pepper. Next, Parmesan cheese. I'm gonna put about 3/4 of a cup of grated Parmesan into the sauce and then save 3/4 of a cup for the topping so it gets nice and brown and crusty. Okay, give it a big stir. And then I do one other thing. I put 1/2 cup of the meat sauce with the tomatoes and the spices right into the cheese topping. I just think it flavors it and it makes it pink, and I think it looks fantastic. This is gonna cool for about 10 minutes. Okay, cheese sauce is cooled. Now I'm gonna put the pasta right into the tomato sauce. So these are the shells. And just mix it all together. Oh, this looks fantastic. Big baking dish. Any size, just make sure it's big enough. Okay, and just pour it all right in. This is the bottom layer, and then the top layer is all that beautiful bechamel with cheese and yogurt. It smells delicious. Really can smell the cinnamon. Okay, just smooth the top. And now the sauce, if it was just a sauce, would sort of seep through it. So I'm gonna add 2 things that are gonna make sure it's a layer on top. The first one is eggs. So I'm sort of making the bechamel sauce into a custard. 2 eggs. And this way you wanna cool the sauce a little bit so it doesn't cook the eggs, so it just thickens it. Okay, so just stir the eggs right into the hot bechamel. And since it's Pastitsio, I say that 3 times, I'm gonna add Greek yogurt, 2/3 of a cup. That actually makes it a little thicker and it adds that nice tang that yogurt has. So I'm just gonna eyeball 2/3 of a cup. And just stir it all in. And now when it bakes, it's gonna bake right on top of the layer of the meat and tomatoes and shells. This looks fantastic. Okay, so I'm just gonna pour this on top. Just smooth it right over the top of it. And just to make sure there's enough cheese and to brown the top, I'm gonna add 3/4 of a cup of Parmesan cheese right to the top. Just sprinkle it evenly over the top of it. I mean, does this look delicious? I don't think Jeffrey will be disappointed. Okay, into the oven, 350 degrees for an hour, and it's gonna be hot and bubbly, and he's gonna be a very happy guy. And that's Pastitsio. Pasta with garlic and olive oil has got to be one of the fastest meals you can make. It's pasta with garlic and olive oil and lots of Parmesan cheese. After a really busy day testing recipes, that's what I love to make. In fact, a lot of chefs call it midnight spaghetti because they make it at midnight. So the first thing I need is lots of garlic. So I've got 8 cloves of garlic. I know it sounds like a lot for a pound of pasta, but it's really worth it. And when garlic cooks, actually in the olive oil, it actually gets a little bit sweet. So I'm just gonna slice them. The proper name of this is what Italians call Spaghetti Aglio e Olio. And I'm sure my Italian accent's just terrible, but that's basically it. It actually means spaghetti with olive oil and garlic. It sounds much more exotic though. So 1/3 of a cup of olive oil. It's actually quite a bit because the garlic's gonna sort of simmer in it. 8 cloves of garlic, thinly sliced, right into the oil. Okay, that's just gonna cook for about 2 minutes, just until it starts to color but not brown. You don't want it burnt. Okay, next is, I like a little heat in this, so I'm gonna put about 1/2 teaspoon of red pepper flakes in. You can make it as hot or not hot as you like. So this is the curious thing about this recipe is I'm gonna add 1.5 cups of pasta water while the pasta is boiling. I actually reserved some of the pasta water. So it's hot and it's got a little bit of that starch in it. And what it's gonna do is really moisten and thicken this pasta. Teaspoon of salt. You can always add more salt later. And this is gonna cook away for about 5 minutes, and the garlic is gonna get really tender, and the sauce is gonna be delicious. In the meantime, I need fresh parsley. I need about 1/2 cup of fresh parsley. Okay, that's the chopped parsley. Wait till you see how fast this is. Got the pasta. I'm just gonna add it to the sauce, right into the pan. And all this pasta is gonna absorb the garlic and the olive oil. Just let it cook together, just for a few minutes. So this is just 1 pound of pasta, spaghetti. I cooked it according to the package, which is about 12 minutes for this kind of pasta. And as this sits in the pasta water with the garlic, it just really absorbs all the flavors, the salt and the red pepper and all of that sweet garlic. You can really see it's being absorbed. Okay, about 1/2 cup of good parsley and 1 cup of Parmesan cheese. I mean, that's gotta be good. You just toss it all together, and that's what's known as midnight spaghetti, pasta with garlic and olive oil. This smells so amazing. What a great dinner this is. A little bit of parsley, a little Parmesan. Pasta Bolognese has to be one of the most popular Italian dishes, but sadly, it takes forever to make. Well, I've come up with a really easy version that you can actually make for a weeknight meal. I'll show you how to make it. So first, I've got 2 tablespoons of oil that I've heated in a pan, and 1 pound of ground sirloin. I'm just gonna put it right in the pan. Start with 4 cloves of chopped garlic. That's about 4 teaspoons. And then oregano, which is sort of a classic, but I'm adding a lot, a tablespoon. Just like that. I always use dry oregano because I think fresh is too strong, but I grind it between my hands to release the oils. And a little bit of hot pepper. I use about 1/4 teaspoon, but as much as you like. Okay, next is wine. I use a really dry Chianti. And it's gonna bring great flavor to this. And then I'm doing something else at the end with a little bit of wine. Right at the end, I throw a little bit of red wine into the Bolognese before I serve it. And there's something about that wine that gives an incredible flavor. But right now, just 1 cup. Okay, next, tomatoes. You can't have Bolognese without tomatoes. I use 1 28-ounce can of crushed tomatoes. And if you can get San Marzano tomatoes, it's a kind of tomato, not a brand. They're really the best Italian tomatoes. And to give it a little more intensity, I'm gonna put in 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. So that's really condensed tomato. Lots of salt and pepper, 1 tablespoon of salt. And then 1½ teaspoons of pepper. And this is gonna cook for about 10 minutes. Bring it to a boil, let it simmer away on top of the stove, and let all those flavors cook together. I'm gonna add a few more things to the Bolognese sauce. 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. It's an unusual spice, but it really goes well with tomatoes. 1/4 cup of fresh chopped basil. Right into the pasta. I'm gonna add a little bit of cream, just 1/4 cup of cream, just to give it a little richness. I never knew anything that cream hurt. And 1/4 cup of red wine. This is where I add it at the end. And it just gives it a little edge. If you're worried about not cooking off all the alcohol, you certainly don't have to add it. You can really smell all the spices and the wine. This is just gonna simmer away for about 8 to 10 minutes. In the meantime, I'm gonna get the fresh Parmesan ready. You want the pasta to drain, but you don't want it to be really dry. How good is that? I'm gonna pour all the sauce on it. Now tell me that doesn't look good. 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese on top, or as much as you like. I'm gonna put a little basil on top. I'd love to know what the ingredients are. Fresh basil's got a nice sort of like spicy quality to it, so that's gonna be fantastic. give it a big toss. And this is why the orecchiette is so great, because the sauce just gets caught in all those little shells. I think I need a big bowl. A little more Parmesan cheese. Big spoon. And I'd say, buon appetito. Ooh, this looks good. Weeknight Bolognese, that is delicious. You know how much I love to take a classic recipe and do it with a twist. And I was thinking, mac and cheese, lobster, how bad could that be? So I'm gonna make lobster mac and cheese, and it starts with a sauce. The French call it a roux, which sounds really fancy. It's not. Start with butter, 6 tablespoons of butter, and I'm just gonna melt that. And then later I'm gonna add some flour for thickener. Okay, the next thing is heating up a quart of milk. And what this does is thicken the sauce. When I add the cheese and the pasta, it gives a nice thick mac and cheese, classic mac and cheese. And then I'm gonna mix into the butter 1/2 cup of flour. And the thing about making a roux, or white sauce, is you want the flour to cook for a minute or two, so it doesn't have that sort of raw flour taste. Okay, milk looks like it's hot, just under simmering. Just gonna pour it in. And now I'm gonna stir it until it gets nice and thick. This is definitely one of my favorite things to make, because you can make the whole thing in advance, put it in gratin dishes, leave it in the fridge, and then just throw it in the oven before dinner. So this is white sauce, that's it. It's just thickened milk, and it's gonna make fantastic mac and cheese. Okay, I'm gonna turn the heat off. Next, the cheese, that's the good part. Usually mac and cheese is sort of ordinary cheddar, it's not exciting, so I'm gonna use really good extra sharp cheddar. And this is the easiest way to grate cheese in a food processor. Just put it right in. I mean, if you want to get exercise, you can do it the old-fashioned way, but why? How easy is that? So that's about 2 cups of grated cheddar, and I'm going to do 4 cups of grated Gruyere. Gruyere is really sharp, nutty cheese, and it's one of my favorites. I'm just going to cut it in pieces and then grate it right on top of the other one. Just cut it so it fits in the feed tube, just like that. Okay, into the pan with lots of flavorings. I just think it's gonna go so well with lobster. That's a lot of cheese. It makes 8 servings. 1 tablespoon of salt. I use kosher salt. 1 teaspoon of pepper. Give it a little heat. And 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg. Sort of a classic French gratin seasoning. Just think brings out the nuttiness of the cheeses. Stir that together. This is gonna be really good mac and cheese. Okay, next I need some pasta. I have a pound of pasta. It's all cooked in a big pot of boiling salted water with a splash of olive oil in it. I use cavatappi for this. You can find it in the grocery store. Oh, it's hot, but it's perfectly done. I'm just gonna drain it. Once it's drained, it goes right back into the sauce and cheese. Yeah, okay. This looks delicious. All the pasta and the cheese, and wait till I put lobster in. It's gonna get even better. Okay, I'm gonna cut up 1.5 pounds of lobster. So I'm gonna leave some of the big pieces whole, and then the really big ones I'm gonna chop up. Oh, this smells like the sea. It's just delicious. You know, lobster's a pretty luxurious ingredient these days, any day. But the good news is it's 1.5 pounds of lobster. It makes 8 servings. Okay, all this is just gonna go right into the pot. This may be one of my favorite dishes of all time. So good. Big stir. Is this gorgeous? Big, thick chunks of lobster, creamy mac and cheese. I'm just gonna put it in gratin dishes. And after I put them in the dishes, I'm gonna make a crispy topping that's gonna make it creamy underneath and crispy on the top. I love that texture. This is such a simple dinner because you really can make it in advance. Keep it in the refrigerator. Just throw it in the oven before dinner. And all you need to serve is like a salad and a fruit dessert. Okay, now I'm gonna get the topping ready. First I need some melted butter. 2 tablespoons of melted butter. And 1.5 cups of breadcrumbs. So these are breadcrumbs, it's really fresh bread that I just ground up in the food processor. And what this is gonna do is when it's in the oven, it's gonna get brown and crusty, and it's fantastic on the top. Actually, texture is really important to me, as important as flavor. When there's something creamy on the bottom and crusty on the top, it's just so good. So I'm just gonna sprinkle this right on top. The breadcrumbs aren't cooked now because they're gonna cook in the oven. So I think I'm gonna bake 2 off so you can see how fabulous this is. And then I'll bake the others later. I'm sure Jeffrey's gonna want one. Into the oven, 375 degrees for 30 minutes, and they're gonna be bubbly and crusty on the top. It's gonna be so good. So while I wrap these up, let me tell you about some other mac and cheeses that I've made that are so delicious. Well, there's the classic version, and I just turn up the volume with Gruyere and cheddar, like in the Lobster version, and I added a tomato and cheese topping. I made it for a housewarming celebration. It was such a great evening. There's my grown-up mac and cheese, and the grown-up part is the blue cheese, which goes into the sauce. I made it for Jeffrey's homecoming after a long flight. It's real comfort food. Then there's the luxury on a budget version. Truffled mac and cheese is so delicious. The truffle comes from white truffle butter, and it just costs a few dollars. It's so good. Lobster mac and cheese. Now, I don't know anybody that wouldn't want that for dinner. Wow, it smells fantastic. The 3 things I like about lemon capellini are, first, it's so fast to make. It's unbelievable, like 5 minutes from start to finish. Second thing I like is it's 3 ingredients, pasta, lemon, and butter. I usually have them in the house. And the third thing I like is it's great as a side dish, but also if you add things like a little shrimp, maybe a dollop of caviar on a special occasion, it can be a main course. Let's go make lemon capellini. Okay, pay attention. This is like the fastest pasta I ever made. So first I have a big pot of water to a rolling boil. I put a lot of salt in it. You want the salt to get into the pasta so it flavors it. Okay, and next, capellini, 1 pound. Capellini is a little thinner than spaghetti and a little thicker than angel hair. And it cooks in like 4 minutes. So you want to put it right into the boiling water. Just swirl it around. And just give it a big stir. And that'll keep it from sticking. Okay, next the sauce. Not gonna believe how easy this is. So it's a 1/2 pound of butter. I know it's a lot of butter, but it's really good. The zest of 2 lemons, and I'm gonna zest it right over the sauce, because then the oils from the lemon zest get into the sauce. So you just want that little bit of bright yellow around the lemon. You don't want the white pith underneath, because that's bitter. This is a great dish. I make this all the time for New Year's Eve because we love to go out, have drinks, have fun in Paris, take a little tour, and then come back and have dinner at midnight. And I don't want to start making a long, complicated dish. So what I do is I make this, and literally in 5 minutes, dinner's on the table, lemon capellini with a big dollop of caviar on top. That sounds very festive New Year's Eve in Paris, doesn't it? Okay, that's one. And now one more. You know, I've seen so many recipes for lemons where they say, okay, you want a 1/2 cup of lemon juice and then lemon zest. But by the time you've juiced the lemons, you can't zest it. So always zest the lemons first before you juice them. So this is going to be the zest of 2 lemons and then the juice of 2 lemons. This is really one of my favorite dishes of all time. It was in my first book, Barefoot Contessa cookbook, and I've made it ever since. Okay, that's that. Now I'm going to do the juice of 2 lemons. In fact, I got this recipe on a New Year's Eve. I went to somebody's house and they were making it. I remember after a really long day at the store, I arrived at these people's house for New Year's Eve dinner, and they were cooking, and I kind of joined in just to be social. And the next thing I knew, everybody had left for the living room. And there I was making dinner for everybody. I thought, well, at least I got a great recipe out of it. Freshly squeezed lemon is just the best. Love my little juicer. Okay, this just goes right into the sauce. 2 teaspoons of salt. 1 teaspoon of pepper. And just swirl that around. Make sure it's really nicely mixed. And let's see if the pasta's ready. Got to clear the decks a little bit. Whoa, runaway lemon. So I'm just going to cook this. Normally it cooks for 4 minutes for al dente, but what I'm going to do is cook it for 3 minutes and then cook it in the sauce for another minute. Missy Robbins from Missy, the restaurant, pasta restaurant, taught me this. Perfect. So I'm going to just lift it out, let it drain a little bit, but then take some of the pasta water and put it into the sauce. And the starch in the pasta water thickens the sauce. And then I have lots of pasta water just to add back in if I need to. Missy Robbins is just an incredible restaurateur in Brooklyn. She owns 2 restaurants, Lilia and Missy. They both have unbelievable pasta that she makes. Think this is enough pasta? This is going to be so good. It's basically lemon, butter, and pasta, but the total is so much better than the sum of its parts. And then I'm just going to toss it together. I mean, Missy tosses it in the air, but I'm going to be a little more conservative. I don't think it'll be all over the kitchen and me if I do that. So just toss it all together. Just keep tossing it for about a minute. So all the butter and the lemon and the zest and the salt and pepper get absorbed into the pasta. And then as it sits, it's just going to get a little dry, so I'm going to put a little of the pasta water in. I want to make sure it's really moist. You don't want it dry. Just toss it together. I wish you could smell this. It's just unbelievable. That sort of fresh, citrusy lemon is so good. And butter. I mean, how bad can that be? Okay, I'm going to show you how I plate it. So I've got an Italian plate. I thought that would be pretty. And let me see if I can do it the way Missy does it. She takes a big thing of pasta. Whoa. So what Missy does is twirl it on the plate and your hand, so it ends up being a nice little pile. I don't know, hers looks better, but mine's still good. Oh, runaway lemon. And then I'm going to do a little lemon zest on the top, just so you know it's lemon. It's that last hit of lemon that you really taste when you taste the pasta. And then everybody knows it's lemon. And I think maybe I'm just going to do a little wedge of lemon on the plate. How's that? A little salt, a little pepper, and that's lemon capellini. Looks so good I may have to try it. Why do I think I'm going to be wearing this by the time I'm done trying this? Just to twirl it around. This is not my forte. It's so good. It's really zesty from the lemon zest and juice. It's perfectly seasoned. That's an amazing pasta. It's crazy good. I'm making penne arrabbiata. Arrabbiata sauce is really kind of a classic Italian pasta sauce made with tomatoes. Mine has an unbelievable amount of garlic in it, which I'm going to cook very slowly in olive oil. It's going to be really sweet and delicious. So nobody wants to peel 24 cloves of garlic. So what I do is I blanch them in a pot of boiling water just for about 15 seconds. And then you'll see the skins just slip right off, just like that. Okay, so that's a cup. So I've got 2/3 of a cup of olive oil that I've got warmed. I'm going to put the garlic in and just cook it for about 10 minutes, just until the outside is like just barely browned and the inside's really tender. So I've got 2 28-ounce cans of San Marzano tomatoes. I think San Marzano are the best quality canned tomatoes. And I've got whole tomatoes. I'm going to put them in the food processor and just chop them up. I'm just putting them in the food processor so I can control the consistency of the tomatoes. And I'm draining them because I don't want the sauce to be watery. Nobody wants watery sauce. Okay, you can make Bloody Marys out of the rest. Okay, get them in, good. And then I'm just gonna chop them up. Just like that. You don't want a puree, you just want them roughly chopped. Okay, I'm gonna take the garlic and put it right into the tomatoes. And then I'm gonna chop that up and then cook it all together. This recipe actually is inspired by Missy Robbins, who has the most incredible pasta restaurant in New York called Missy. It's in Brooklyn. And she makes her arrabbiata sauce with 24 cloves of garlic. And it's so good. And then I'm just gonna chop that up. So you get bits of garlic in the sauce. And then this whole thing goes right back into the oil. Try and do it without getting it all over yourself. So this is going back on the stove. Turn on the heat. And I'm going to take 2 teaspoons of fennel seeds. You can do it in a mortar and pestle, but I think this is actually better to grind them yourself. What I do is just chop them up. And they're going to bounce all over the place, but it's really worth it. And I think what you do is you get a lot of the oils out of the fennel seeds. Just give it a rough chop like that. They're going to get tenderized when the sauce cooks. Okay, right into the sauce. Right there. 1 teaspoon of hot red pepper flakes. Okay, next is 1/3 cup of red wine. Yum. Tablespoon of salt. Make sure it's really well seasoned. Teaspoon of pepper. I'm always looking for how flavors complement each other, how the tomatoes make the red wine taste better, how the red wine makes the fennel taste better. This is going to do exactly that. The garlic flavors everything. So I'm just going to bring it to a boil and then lower the heat and let it simmer for 30 minutes. I'm almost done with the arrabbiata sauce. I'm just going to add some fresh basil to it. Gives it a nice, fresh, kind of peppery flavor. Okay, about 1/4 cup right into the sauce. So I've got a big pot of boiling water, salt, and 1 pound of penne, and I'm cooking it to about 2 minutes less than it requires for al dente. And that's because I'm gonna cook it in the sauce. Okay, pasta should be done, or at least 2 minutes less than done, and I'm just gonna, with a wire strainer, just put it right into the pasta sauce. And that way, all of the pasta sauce gets absorbed into the pasta, and it really flavors it. Very often what we do is we serve pasta, and then we put the sauce on top, and it just kind of sits on the top. But this way, it cooks into it. And a little bit of the starch from the pasta really thickens the sauce. So the 2 elements really work together. And I'm going to save the pasta water if I need a little extra water. So that's all the pasta. Just give it a big stir. And I'm going to cook this for about 2 minutes. And you know what? It does need a little water. So I have a ladle. It's always surprising to me. Missy taught me how much water to put into a sauce, which is incredibly surprising. You think you're going to water it down, and in fact, it does just the opposite. I'm just going to cook this all together. Oh, man overboard. It's going to cook together for 2 minutes. The pasta will be perfectly cooked, and the sauce will be just really silken and delicious. You can really smell the garlic. But it's like soft, not sharp. In the meantime, while that cooks, I'm gonna julienne a little more basil for garnish. I love pastas because you can make the sauce in advance, just cook the pasta, cook it together, and you've got a fabulous dinner. Big salad, I'm a happy camper. Okay, so clear the decks. You need a big bowl. And the pasta should be done. Oh, this looks gorgeous. And you can really tell that the tomato sauce has gotten into the pasta. Who wouldn't want to have this for dinner? A little fresh basil on top. Some Parmesan cheese, because of course you can never have too much Parmesan. A fork. This is the kind of dinner anybody in the family would love. It's just not your ordinary tomato sauce. This is pasta arrabbiata with 24 cloves of garlic. And it tastes so good. I'm making linguine with shrimp scampi. It's a great summer dish. I add oil to the pasta pot so that the pasta doesn't stick together, and salt for flavor. Okay, that's going to cook for 7 to 10 minutes according to the directions on the package. Okay, that's 3 tablespoons of olive oil and about 3 tablespoons of butter. I do the olive oil because it has a high burning temperature and the butter because it has lots of flavor. I know this looks like a lot, but it's the sauce for the entire dish. And about 1.5 tablespoons of garlic. With garlic, you really don't want to cook it too long, so just about a minute. Nothing worse than the flavor of burnt garlic. So 1 minute while I get everything else ready. So the first thing is shrimp. And what I buy is peeled and deveined shrimp from the fish store. If you can't buy it, you can always peel and devein it yourself. I'm going to add a pound of shrimp and just cook it for a very short time, like 3 to 5 minutes. And all that flavor of the garlic is going to get into the shrimp. So first thing I'm going to do is salt and pepper the shrimp. I want it to have lots of flavor because when you add the pasta, the sauce has to flavor the pasta also. So it's going to be really strongly flavored. Just turn the shrimp so they cook evenly on both sides. It smells so good, all that garlic and butter and oil. How bad can that be? Michael's so great with flowers. I can't wait to see what he's doing at the table.
Good. I hope Ina likes it.
So, just drain the water from it, and then it's going to go right into that pan with the shrimp and the garlic and butter and oil. It's going to absorb all that great flavor. Okay, just like that. 2 spoons. Just toss it all together. This is actually a great way to make any pasta. Italians do it. Even when you're making pasta with tomato sauce, is you cook the pasta and the sauce together for the last few minutes, and it really absorbs the flavor. Okay, and then the last ingredients are lemon zest, lemon juice, I like a little bit of heat, so just a sprinkling of red pepper flakes. Okay, just toss that together, and then I have 2 more things to put in. Parsley. Okay, right on top. And then because I want you to know, you can't really see the lemon, but I want you to know it's lemon, what I do is a few thin slices of lemon. People aren't going to eat them, but they'll see that it's lemon. So I'm going to add a few slices of lemon to the whole thing before I finish tossing. This is really a great summer lunch.